so are we ready?
This is Jay.
This is A.
And this is Mocksicated,
where we drop the booze and walk through the reality of life alcohol-free.
So grab your favorite mock, get ready to laugh, and let's get Mocksicated. Hello. Welcome back. Welcome to our third episode in our third season.
Threes.
Whoa, that's good. Some good vibes.
Very good.
That's some good vibes. How's January treating you?
Great.
Way better than December for me.
Yeah?
Although Philip did finally get the sickness.
Oh no. Is he sick right now?
No.
No?
It didn't last as long as the rest of the family. So I don't know. He powers through really fast.
Yeah.
But he was down. And when I mean down, it's like when a big oak tree falls in the woods or something. Like that fool was out.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I couldn't get him up. But
well, I'm glad he's feeling better.
yeah, me too. I'm just glad not to be sick, knock on wood. My voice hopefully doesn't sound like it did the last time we were recording.
No, and to be honest, you look alive and well.
I'm back, baby.
Yes, welcome. Welcome back, Jessica.
Thank you. You know what has been cool about, obviously every dry January people make their declarations of not drinking alcohol. But what I've noticed, especially over the past month of 2024, was more celebrities just talking about how they're not drinking alcohol.
Yes.
And I think it's really cool because it seems kind of like it's a trend in the celebrity world.
Yes.
Maybe not as much going on in society, but I cannot stop hearing about celebrities. And one of my favorites, Rihanna.
Yes.
Who I've always felt kindred to.
Yeah.
When I texted you that, you didn't respond.
Sorry, I think you had texted me a lot of different subjects all at once, and I was at a birthday party about to pull my hair out.
It's a lot. But yes, I love Rihanna. She's the same age as us. She's a mama.
Yes.
So she posted on New Year's Eve a couple weeks ago. I made, it was a video of her at midnight, and she was saying, I made it all of 2024 without drinking.
Which is so surprising, because I don't think she was really boasting about it.
No, she wasn't.
She didn't, I wonder if she told anybody that she wasn't drinking.
And, her, I don't romanticize drinking at all anymore. At all. But there was always these pictures of her and A$AP Rocky when they would go from place to place. Yes. They would be carrying champagne glasses in their hand, on the streets of New York. And I was all, damn, that is pretty rock star. Yeah. To just walk around with that in your hand. I was like, that's pretty cool. So for her to go from that to just being I don't want to drink all of 2024.
So what else did she say?
She was just singing that over and over again. No, there was no am I gonna keep going or am I staying sober? No, it was just her singing about that.
Did she say that she feels good or anything?
She was so proud of herself. That was the biggest thing, is being you feel so accomplished, and you could tell.
Yeah.
And that actually was probably a really cool thing to celebrate right at midnight. You're wow!
Yes.
Yeah, so that was really cool. I love cool. Rihanna. And you know what? Rihanna is a Bravo fan.
Yeah?
She loves the Housewives.
Really?
Yeah, it's a stamp of approval when Rihanna follows a housewife. She only follows 4 or 5.
No. Did you know that also Rihanna doesn't allow her music on Instagram?
She's a boss.
Yeah. No, she literally
says, pay me.
Any song, if you try to look it up, there's some remixes of it. But usually they get taken down, or this music gets removed. Her music is not, you cannot use her music as a reel or anything.
No. Rihanna and Bravo are just some of the many things I love. But today we're talking about something else I love.
Yes, welcome our guest today, Jessica Martinez.
If I was a guest on a podcast, hopefully I would be just not better, but less comfy.
Great.
Less comfy.
Yeah, right. I feel for this topic, comfort is important.
Athleisure is actually my best go-to outfit. But we're talking about fitness.
Yes.
Fitness.
With Jess Martinez.
And before we get started on this, I have no qualifications now. I have qualifications.
Yeah, you do.
But I'm not a certified personal trainer. I'm not a certified nutritionist. I'm not somebody who is out in the community, like changing people's lives fitness wise. And as I'm saying that, I'm like, wait, don't I do that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I'm pretty sure you do that.
So I am a spin instructor, and I also during COVID got my yoga license, so I am a certified yoga teacher.
Yes.
And so that's where I'm coming from in today's episode.
Yes.
I love fitness, and I think it took a while for me to find any type of something that I actually connected to. So that's what's the most important to me, because I feel like there are so many reasons why people work out, but finding something that sticks is a lot harder.
Yeah.
So before we even get into any of that, we've got definitions.
Yes.
It's our first definition.
First definition of season 3.
So fitness, in case you didn't know, is the condition of being physically fit and healthy, or the quality of being suitable to fulfill a particular role or task.
Wow.
Yes. Oh, here's another one. Biology. Do you want the biology one?
Yes, I do.
An organism's ability to survive and reproduce in a particular environment.
Oh, I thought it was going to say particular form.
That was a good one.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, it's just being in shape. I don't know, feeling good in your body, being able to perform the tasks that you need to perform daily. And not hurting.
Yeah, I think for me, when I think of fitness, I just think of body movement. Like literally moving your body.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't know where to start, or fitness sounds so scary for you, I think that that's the perfect place. It's literally just moving your body. Yeah. Any type of body movement is something that is going to increase your fitness.
Yes.
And I was not always a physically fit girl.
But while you were just talking, and I didn't know if I was going to interrupt you to say this, but you've done spin even when you drink, and I would be like, why do you do that?
Well, and that's why, I mean, it took me a while to figure out what worked. And when I was young, my mom put me on the swim team at a very young age, and I was not good at swimming. I mean, I was okay. I could swim. I can still do it today. But my sister was like the rock star swimmer. Like, she would beat everyone in all the categories, like across the board.
Ooh, gosh.
And so I know she was an incredible swimmer. And so I always kind of like was fine in her shadow. I didn't feel like that was my thing. I liked doing it, but it wasn't my thing. I did tennis. My mom and my dad are huge golfers. None of this ever stuck. And then I found dance.
Oh, yeah.
And so I danced from a very young age until my teens. I was on a competitive team. And this is in, like the 2000s, where dance was not considered anything like physical. You know what I mean? Like, now we look at these women's sports like cheerleading and dance so differently. But back then it was like, no, like she just dances. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't about fitness. It wasn't even about like, I wasn't thinking about that I'm moving my body to be physically fit. I just liked to dance.
Which is crazy, because most dancers, I feel like, are held to the highest standard of their body.
Oh, yeah. And I do remember, like, when I was on the dance team, that there would be, like, older girls, and they would bring their boyfriends' football teams in. And so I understood, like, the connection. Like, this is very good for my body. But to me, it just wasn't, like, working out. It wasn't being fit.
Yeah.
And then once I transitioned out of dance, I was a cheerleader. And I was only a cheerleader for a couple of years, but that's when I started to understand like how strong somebody's body can be. And when I first started cheerleading, like, I had a lot to learn. I was very weak. I was very weak. And you have to be, you have to know where to lift from in your body. You have to know, like, you have to have stuff to pull from down there, but there's just so much more fitness involved. And so as I was a dancer and all this stuff, I hated PE. Did you hate PE? Or did you like PE?
I think I liked it.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Well, you were like a basketball girl.
No, I am a jack of all, whatever that is.
A jack of all trades.
Where I can play everything a little bit, but I'm not going to be the best person on the team.
Yeah,
like, I I can
You
dabble in all
Yeah.
all of the sports, but I'm not going to be like the star, and I don't want to join a team. I don't want to practice. That's when I quit. Because in middle school,
you want to do it when you want to do it.
yeah. Well, no, in middle school, I was on like the golf team, the basketball team.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I was on all of those
Yeah.
teams, and then I was given the choice in high school by my parents. They didn't force me to do it all, and I chose clubs over sports because I didn't want to practice.
Yeah.
Literally, I did
Yeah.
not want to like do sprints.
You just like doing things.
Yeah, I
and
like
socializing.
yeah.
Yeah.
PE
I
was
hated
definitely
PE.
more social for me than the actual.
I would walk the mile. I hated changing. Oh, it,
See, and
it
I didn't-
ruined my whole vibe. Like, I have to change. No, I plan this outfit. Like, I'm not gonna change in a
I know. I don't really remember hating changing.
God, I did.
I'm like, as long as my hair and makeup weren't messed up. If they were gonna make me swim, no way. Like with this short hair and like to recover from getting
See?
it wet, that would have been mortifying to
I'm
me.
like, that
I'm
was
like,
probably the one-
absolutely not.
That's probably the one thing I liked in PE. I'm like, yeah, let me show you guys how to swim.
I would have been like, I'm injured. I can't.
Watch from the side. Yeah, I hated PE, and so it was funny because when I started cheerleading, like I was forced to do the stuff that I never did in PE, like run the mile.
Oh yeah.
And that was my first taste of like really not being good at something. I threw up
I hate not being
almost
good at
every
things.
time. Yeah, I was the last one, like all the team was done and they had to wait for me. It was a huge learning curve and figuring out like, okay, I'm going to use my body a lot more than I've ever used it before. And so I did cheerleading for the last 2 years of high school and then took a break and then got back into coaching cheerleading, which really didn't keep me. Like, I knew that how to make bodies fit, but I didn't keep doing it. And so after not being able to move my body, after moving it like without even thinking about it for so long as a child, I needed to find something, and I heard about bar.
Okay.
And so bar to me was like ballet class.
Yeah.
And it was so familiar because I had done ballet for so long and I really loved bar. I fell in love with bar. And while I was doing bar at the studio that I chose to do it at, there was a spin room
Oh, okay.
in the little studio. And spin would start like as we were finishing, and I always would look in there like longingly, like, God, I wish I could do something like that. Like, it sounds so fun. It's just so cute thinking back on it because I can remember like sitting in my little mat and bar and being like, God, I wish I could go in there. I wish I could take spin. And so I just worked it up. Like, I kept going to bar, kept hearing the spin class, and one day I was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And it changed my life.
Well, I think spin gets like a bad rap. Like, people are so intimidated by spin, and then when they actually go to a class and do it, they're like,
it's so much different. Yeah.
But no, when I was going actively and I would tell people that, they're like, you do spin? Like, I was like
so
a superhero.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you should try it. It's very fun. Like,
well, and I think spin got a bad rap because there was a lot, especially in like the 2010s, that's when Soul Cycle came out, and other gyms like that were starting to come, boutique style gyms were starting to come into, I don't know, I guess popularity, and there were certain studios that were like, if you're not good enough, they're gonna call it out.
oh, okay.
And so the studio that I went to was a very local studio. It wasn't like that. I found this group of women there that I loved. And so I just did that a lot. And yeah, that's what I did mostly. I switched from bar because then once I did spin, I couldn't do bar anymore because it moved so slow.
Yeah.
And I was used to like the loud energy, the
Yes.
music.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I did until I got married and started having babies. I stopped working out completely. A gym is something that I was always intimidated by. I had never gone to a gym. Like, we had a gym membership growing up, but I just went to use the pool.
Yeah.
I had never lifted weights. When I was a cheerleader, that was not something that they forced us to do. Now cheerleaders lift weights, thankfully. So I was so intimidated by the gym. Philip, my husband, is like, he's a football coach, he's a weightlifting coach, like, he knows everything about that. And so weightlifting started to come back into my mind, but honestly, I just wanted to get back on the freaking bike. Being an instructor was something I dreamed about always and forever, but always doubted that I could do it. And it just happened by chance. I was at an event and someone there knew that I liked spin, and she was like, there's this studio opening up and they're interviewing people. I already got an interview. Go and talk to the girl. And she pushed me. This girl pushed me to go talk to her, and I got an audition. I was severely out of shape. I used the gym at the high school that I worked at regularly to kind of practice for this. I had to do 2 auditions because my first audition, they weren't sure. So I passed my second audition, and then we had to do this pretty hardcore boot camp where it was 4 days from 9 to 5.
You telling me about that. I was like, absolutely not.
We were riding the bike literally from 9 in the morning till 5 p.m. at night for 4 days straight. And then on the last day, we had to do a test out where we taught 12 songs, and we basically got told right then and there whether we were going to be able to be an instructor or not, and thankfully I passed.
Wow. That sounds like my nightmare.
It was. I literally was like a ball of anxiety that entire 4 days. But what I forgot to mention is, it's so funny how time works, is I knew I needed to start being more physically active. I had my second child, and she was about to turn 1, and I just really knew that I wanted to live healthier. So the one thing I did, which was so funny, is because it was the thing I hated the most, is I started running.
Oh yeah, I forgot when you had a little.
I started running. Spurt of running.
Yeah, spurt of running.
And what the funniest thing was is I signed up for my first marathon, and that marathon ended up being on that exact same Sunday that I tested out for my boot camp. So, like, my fitness journey went a completely different way. I was supposed to run a marathon that day, but instead I became a spin instructor. And so from then on, that was my main source of fitness. I took other people's classes and I taught classes. It really started to change my body. The spin studio that I worked at, we do an arm series in every songs too. So that helped really kind of tone up my arms. And the thing was, our studio opened November 2019. So our studio closed March 2020. It was only open for 4 years before the pandemic hit. I'm sorry, 4 months. And that sucked.
Yeah.
And I know that sucked for a lot of people fitness-wise. And if you're somebody that's listening that was a fitness person in the pandemic, I know you can relate, because we literally got like our places of joy stripped away from us, and we had to figure out a new way to become fit. And I started off COVID like really trying to help my clients that I knew at the studio I taught, and I would come up with workouts. I was running a lot in the pandemic, but I mean, it got old.
Yeah.
Like, we were just sitting around. Like, I just stopped. My husband fed me 3 times a day. I was a well-fed woman. You know, I gained a lot of weight back, and then thankfully the pandemic lessened and we were able to join each other again. And I was able to get back on the bike, and then I got pregnant.
Yes.
And so I taught, my entire pregnancy, and that changed my fitness. I know it did.
Yeah.
It changed so much about what I was capable of. My heart, my breath. I carried the biggest child I birthed the entire time. And honestly, looking back, that's some of my proudest fitness moments, because my first 2 pregnancies, I didn't do anything. And it's like, it's fine. Do whatever you want. Like, you're growing a child. So if you don't want to do anything, lay in bed all the time, you shouldn't. And I felt, like I had done that twice. And now I want to see what it's like to work out. And I can't even tell you how proud I was of my body, because that was a rough pregnancy for me, physically and mentally. But to move my body all the way, I think I taught up to 38 weeks.
Wow.
And so that was just really, really incredible. I got back on the bike, I think like a month, maybe. I mean, it was 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks, but as soon as I could, I got back on that bike. And someone I worked with had always told me, you need to start weight training. You need to start weight training if you want to make changes in your body. And I resented that. I was like, don't need to do anything. I can do.
You don't tell me what to do.
Yeah. And, eventually I was like, no, because it had always still been nagging at me. So I found a trainer. Shout out to Steven. He is the best. I don't know how I could train with anybody else. And so I've been working out with a trainer for 2 years now, and I have just changed my fitness even more so.
Yeah.
I feel so strong, and it's been a really cool thing to be so intimidated by something and then realize I am actually pretty good at it and had no reason to be intimidated. And I think that happens a lot in fitness.
Yeah, that's why I don't go to the gym. I don't know how to work those machines.
And no one told
like,
you,
no,
you
yeah,
know?
like,
and it's like, you walk in and everyone's just doing their thing. And then once you know fitness, you look around and you're like, I don't know if these people are actually doing it right. Or like, it's not like anybody ever learned, you know, unless you were in a weight training class. Which a lot of people that were in athletics were. And I've gone on all kinds of tangents with Philip being like, there should be weight training for every kid, not just athletes.
Yes.
Cheerleaders need to weight train. And so that's my journey. And before we go more, I just wanted to bring out some stats.
Yes. Give us all the stats.
Some statistics.
Statistics.
Fitness statistics.
Statistics. I can't believe that doesn't already exist.
I know, statistics. So there are guidelines. I'm just going to start it like this. The WHO, which is the World Health Organization, not someone that lives
I was like, what are we speaking about right now?
Not Grinch's neighbors. The World Health Organization. They have so many recommendations on what you should be getting cardio-wise, how many times you should be moving your body, all that type of stuff. If you want to go look it up, it's readily available in the WHO's glossary. I am not going to sit here and tell anybody how many times a week they should be working out. That's not for me to decide. That's for somebody's doctor. And then I work out. I teach 1 day a week, and then I weight train 2 days a week. And then the rest of the time is if I want to take a walk, if I want to play with my dogs, if I do want to hop on the Peloton or whatever.
Yeah.
So that being said, the WHO does say that only 31% of adults are not meeting recommended physical activity right now, which I think that's, for America, I feel like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But the sad part, the flip side of that says 80% of adolescents are not meeting the required physical activity. So
that's interesting, because the other day a person I follow, she took I think her daughter's in middle school, and they were at the gym, and she was like, do you think I'm being judged right now for making my daughter TikTok on the treadmill, or are people judging me in a good way?
Yeah,
she was like, I told my daughter if she wanted to scroll all day, then she had to walk and scroll. And I was like, that's kind of a good thing.
That's what people do. That's what other people do on the treadmill. They pull on their shows and stuff like that. Yeah, no, I think, honestly, as long as people are introducing it, I mean, my kids know that I'm physically active because they know what I do, because I talk to them about it, because they see me. So I think incorporating it into your lifestyle is the biggest way to show your children it. You can't expect them to get off the couch and stop playing games if you're not getting off the couch scrolling on your phone, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's coming from the biggest phone scroller. You have to, they have to see you doing other stuff too, you know? So who does get enough exercise in the U.S.? This is from Livestrong. All of these facts are from the Livestrong website, which they had a really, really cool page dedicated to fitness facts. So the most physically fit people, according to CDC and Livestrong, are 18 to 24-year-olds, making up 33.8%. The next is 25 to 44.
That's a large
jump.
group.
18 to 24, and then 25 to 44.
And then the rest of the world.
Everyone else. 29.1%. 55 to 64 is almost as high as 25 to 44 at 22.7%.
Wow.
Which I think is awesome.
Yeah, that is. 65
to 74 is 15.7%. And 75 plus, there is still 8.7% of that population working out. Wow. Which is incredible. I had at least 2 clients at my spin studio that were 75 plus.
Yes, and I loved them because they went on the Tuesday and Thursday when I would go. And so I would see them, and I was just like, if these ladies can do spin, anyone
That's
can.
what I would tell
Yeah.
every person, especially like my parents or people in my life. I'm like, listen, look at these ladies.
Yeah.
And one of them also weight trains on the side, so she is like a beast. But this, going back to what we said in a 2022 fitness report, 19% of Americans said they felt too intimidated to go to a gym or a fitness studio.
Yeah.
So then it was really cool. They broke it down by city, like how much of the population is physically fit. Colorado was one of the highest at 82.7% of the population. Wow. New Mexico, where we live, wasn't bad, 77.7%. I like those numbers.
Yes.
So that was really encouraging. I mean, I think that the lowest on here was in the 60s. Mississippi at 67%, Kentucky Arkansas not far behind at 67.5%. So at least, more than half of the population is physically fit. So then this was cool. There was some fun facts done a couple years back about ClassPass. So ClassPass is something that they should have in most cities. And basically, I'm not an affiliate. I've never actually even had one, but I just know because I work at a studio. The cool part about it is that you can try different like boutique studios. Yeah. So like you could do a Pilates class, you could do a spin class, you could do a yoga class at all the different boutique studios around town. Yeah. So they did a little survey, and it said people in Denver are most likely to take fitness classes at 7:30 a.m.
Wow.
So Denver's are the early risers, whereas Chicago, my people, are most likely to book a class between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m.
There you go. Or maybe they are working, because I feel like Chicago is a very 9-to-5 job, so maybe they're going during their lunch.
And you know what? All the studios are like right there. I've done a spin class.
No,
I
can picture them like in the city.
Yeah, it's great. And then this is the best one. People in Miami were most likely to book a class 8 p.m. or later.
Oh my gosh.
I love that fact.
It's on brand for all of these places.
So on brand, right? It said people in Los Angeles are the last minute reservation people. They do that at the last minute.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City people are most likely to book with a workout buddy.
Yes.
New Yorkers made the most reservations for exercise classes across the board. And then
that's some good stuff.
So this was a different study. They said the most active cities.
Okay.
Miami 83%, San Francisco 80%, and then the jump down to Atlanta 54%.
Interesting.
Yes, and that was done in 2022. There was some facts that 17.6 million people in 2020 were registered for road races, like running. Wow. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
And that swimming is the 4th most popular recreational sport in all of the country. And 36% of children swim at least 6 times per year.
My child loves to swim.
That's way more.
Yeah.
So then we moved down to the pandemic, and it said more than half of the surveyed 18 to 24-year-olds said that the pandemic negatively impacted their fitness and their mental well-being. But in-person classes were more popular than virtual classes in 2022. 43% of the people going to in-person classes are millennials. We need help. We're looking for it everywhere.
Yes. Yes.
And then in 2021, the most popular class on ClassPass was strength training.
Wow.
Yeah. So classes are up 10% than they were during pre-pandemic times. So that's awesome. 15% of people work out on their lunch hour.
Wow.
And that Tuesday is the most popular workout week.
Wow.
Which I used to teach on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And then Sunday is the most popular rest week. I think we all knew that.
Yes.
And then going into our European friends, this is just where we're going to end. I pulled the most healthiest country in Europe.
What is it?
Finland.
I was gonna say it's either Finland,
It's Finland.
or like one of those lens.
So it like breaks it down, like men 15 to 24, women 15 to 24, 25 to 39. It breaks it down for males and females. And they had the highest in every category, but the highest category with 89% women 15 to 24.
Dang.
I thought that was
Well,
dope.
I wonder because I'm pretty sure they're one of the happiest countries too, and so
That makes so much sense.
yeah, it does make sense because when you're working out, you are happier.
And happy people just don't kill people. They
Yeah.
just don't. I know I butchered that, but I had to say it. So that is my background, and then that's just our general fitness stats.
Yeah.
So next, I'm going to be interviewed.
Next, I have some questions for you from a non-fitness person.
Yes.
Okay,
Tell me.
so how has fitness helped you in your alcohol-free journey?
Fitness is an outlet for me. If I am having feelings, I have them a lot.
No way.
Like every second. But if the feelings are too much and like my mind doesn't even think about drinking anymore, like it doesn't go there, I think because it's knows the other alternatives, and going to the gym is definitely one. Like if I'm having a day, like I'm gonna need to go to the gym or even just go teach a class, because moving my body, it's like how I've said before, everything is energy, and it just gets the energy out. Whereas I feel like drinking kept the energy in. It just like put it on pause for a while.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, because even when I was taking spin classes, I cried most of them, and I think that it was not because that it was so hard, but it was because of the emotional release of just like,
it's such a
like,
release.
yeah, just such a release. And it would be like, and you guys know I can cry very easily at anything, but definitely like in that, like I used to say that spin was like my therapy. Like it really helped me like clear my mental, reset, like all of that. But yeah, so I completely agree with that. Okay, next question. How important is stretching?
Oh my God, stretching is so important. And I'm speaking to myself when I say this, but something I say at the end of all of my classes is like, if this is not enough time to stretch how I'm stretching you, and it shouldn't be because it's like 2 minutes, you need to take care of your body at home. It's almost like giving your body a bath, or like cozying up under a really soft blanket. Like your body does a lot of really hard things for you. You're asking it to work hard, you're asking it to grow. You need to give that love right back and stretch. And like, I look at stretching as an act of self-love. I truly do. And when I'm stretching, I'm just thinking about my body and thinking about all the wonderful things my body's done for me.
Yes.
And so it's vital. Like if you're not stretching and you're not getting massaged, you're probably walking around like with your shoulders in your ears and you don't even know.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Chris actually stretches every single morning.
Oh my gosh, a stretching king.
Yeah.
So
Well, he does a whole like yoga routine every single
like
morning.
a sun salutation.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
And
Go Chris.
but so in the days that he doesn't or he misses, which it's very rare, he's
you can tell.
he's like, I can't move, like, and that, like, he truly, and
Well,
he always is telling me, you should strut, and I'm like, okay.
And
whatever.
he's really hard on
But
his body, so I'm proud that he does that.
Yes,
Yeah,
no,
that's really
there's
cool.
no way he could survive
Keep going,
if
yeah.
he didn't do that.
Yeah, that's so cool. Good for you.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Are you happier when you work out?
Yes.
Yeah, because you don't kill people.
Because I don't kill people. Like, literally the number one reason I haven't killed people is because working out makes me happy. Just kidding.
Okay. Okay, you kind of already answered that. What's your favorite part of teaching classes? Is it the playlist, the people, the workout? What part of it?
Why'd you put playlist first? Because you know me?
Yeah. Well, no, because I personally think that it could be very overwhelming to create a playlist for a class every week.
Yeah.
But I know that you love music so much so that it's probably not. But I just feel like that to me seems very overwhelming.
And to be honest, it is overwhelming for a lot of fitness instructors that have to put playlists to what they do. And working where I worked, because when I was at that studio, that I had to go through boot camp for, I actually got to the point where I was the lead instructor. So I was training other instructors and in charge of the other people. And I can tell you that creating a playlist was something that was super challenging. And it's just like, you either enjoy music or like music is just an accessory to what you do. And I think that for me, music has literally driven me my entire life. That's why I danced.
Yeah.
I think that's what called me to dancing, is that I was able to move my body to feel the music in a different way. I mean, I freaking love music, dude.
Yeah. No.
It's my life source. And so I have, at my last studio, I was at like 420 something rides. At this studio, I'm at like, because I only teach once a week, but I'm still at like 70 something rides. I have never used the same playlist one time.
Yeah, no.
And that's like a badge of honor for me, but I think it's because, so to answer your question, it's a two-part for me. When I am not in the studio, the thing that motivates me, the thing that gets me ready for class, the thing that makes me start to focus on what I'm going to do in class is my playlist. And I will create it, and then I will probably change it like 2 to 3 times based on my mood. I also like think about the people that my regulars that come to my class. I'm always thinking about them and what songs they like. If I know like a friend is coming, or you know, there's a special day coming up, I incorporate that into my playlists. My playlists are very intentional, and it is such like, it's like my gift to my class.
Yeah.
And so that's my favorite part, getting ready. And then once I'm there, the energy that gets exchanged. I've taught a class where it's one person, I've taught a class where it's 2 people, and I've taught a class where there's been 50 people in it. And to me, it doesn't make a difference. Like, I don't freeze up when I'm teaching 2 people and then like come alive when I'm teaching 50, because no matter who's in the room, you're exchanging energy and you're all in there doing the same thing. And I'm asking them to do really hard stuff, and they're trusting me. And to earn the trust of someone like that, that doesn't even know me, is a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so that connection that happens literally while I'm teaching is my favorite thing.
Yes.
Seeing people do stuff that when they walked in, they were like, oh, I might leave after the second song, and then still seeing them there at the end of class, I'm like, yes, this is the best day of my life.
Yes.
So that's
yes. Okay. Yes. No. You always have had great playlists for every time for me. And truly, like, and I think also it might be because you are my best friend, and so I do have some similar tastes.
We like the same music.
Yeah. Like, but I've taken a few, not a lot, of other classes with other instructors, and it's a completely different vibe. And I'm like, what is happening? Oh my God. So I think that you can really, for personally myself, I feel like you can feel the intention in the songs, and it versus, because I remember one time I was taking the morning class with a male, and I was like, what are these songs? Like, yeah, like I could not, it's just such a different vibe.
Totally.
Yeah, so kudos for the best playlists out there.
Thanks.
Okay, how do you get hyped up to work out? Are you just ready to go? Are you excited?
No, I have to listen to music. So my drive to where I work is on a good day 20 minutes, on a bad day 40. And if I'm going to work, like to teach, I listen to my playlist. And I listen to my playlist over and over again. I think about the things I'm going to say. I think about the things I'm going to do. And the funniest part is that, like, probably only 30% of that make it into the actual class. You know, like, I'm driving, I'm like, I'm going to say this, I'm going to do this. But in the moment, it changes. So that's what I do to get hyped going in. I like to look at my list. At the studio that I'm at, you don't have to sign up, so I don't always know who's going to be there.
Okay.
But like seeing who's signed up and stuff helps me get excited and helps like kind of focus on where the class is going to go. When I'm going to work out with my trainer, it depends on my mood, but like I'll jam Wicked. I'll be like, no, today's like a punk day.
Yeah.
Like the other day was a random Morgan Wallen day. I don't know why, but like I have to use music. I have to. That's the only thing that pumps me up. I've never been an energy drinker. If I drink an energy drink before I teach or before I work out, it's literally like you can't.
No.
I look like a fembot, like short circuiting.
Yeah.
I've never done pre-workout.
Yeah.
So I don't take stuff like that to get me hyped. I have a lot of natural energy that I can channel, and so music.
Yeah. I did have the question on how do you hype people up to work out, but I feel like you have answered that. Do you have any other things to add on how to hype up people to work out?
Yeah, I have a warm-up playlist that I like, play before. I think the biggest thing to hype people up is like reminding them of their purpose.
Yeah.
And that is as individual as each person is. So I try to do that so often, because if you can continue to remember like why you're doing what you're doing, like it'll make the times where you're like, this sucks, what did I sign up for? And you're like, okay, no, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. Let's go. That's kind of.
Yes. Okay. Great answer. Did you ever work out hungover?
Oh my God, yes.
I remember you would literally be so hungover and go to a spin class, and I'd be like, why are you doing that?
Awful. It was. I used to, and then we had another friend who always used to say that I spun so that I could drink beer. Like, she used to always be like, you only spin so you can drink beer.
Yes.
Because I would go to spin class, and she worked at a bar, and it was right by my gym, so I literally would take spin class, and then I would go like have 5 IPAs afterwards.
Oh my God. You were such a beer drinker.
I was. Anyways,
it's not less gross to drink liquor, but I just feel full.
I feel full.
About drinking.
I was literally bloated 24/7. Okay, I was always bloated. Yeah, I did, and it wasn't great, and I hated it, and it's not the same. I mean, you can't think about why you're there. You can't think about what you're receiving from the instructor or the people around you. You can't listen to the intention in the playlist because you're like, I'm dying and I just need to get through this.
Yeah.
It's almost a waste of at least you're moving your body. I don't know.
I was trying to think if I worked out hungover, and I never spun hungover because I didn't start spinning until later.
After, yeah.
But I did have a small time when I was riding my bike like 100 miles a week. Remember? And because I love riding bikes.
You did, yes.
And I was drinking in that time.
Doing it?
And and so I would meet my dad I think at like 5:45 in the morning.
Oh my
gosh. It didn't matter if I was hungover or not, I would still go
10 miles every time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would struggle bus that, but I also rode a single speed, like, in vans while I did it, so I was already, like,
you were good
behind. But, I think back more to smoking cigarettes than drinking. I would literally smoke.
Harsh.
I would smoke a cigarette before we would ride 10 miles. I would smoke a cigarette before I went out and ran. Like, when I would run around Johnson, I would literally smoke a cigarette, like, walking to the field. Like, that is disgusting and crazy to me. But I don't have like memories of working out. I never really worked out in a gym.
Did you ever get drunk and go work out?
I mean,
or like go do something like kind of silly?
I feel like probably.
Around, yeah.
Like I don't know. I've never really been like a fitness person. The only thing that I would do would be ride my bike, and I would literally ride my bike downtown, to the bars. And back. And so I was.
We did a wine.
And that was Bike for Brains.
And I was way behind you. I was all.
I'm like, it's okay, you got this. Forgetting that I literally rode hundreds of miles.
You did.
But no, so I couldn't really think of a time. Like, I don't know why it keeps going back. Like, I would go to class hungover, and I remember running out of classes to throw up.
Yeah.
But I don't have any memories of, like, running out of a gym to throw up from a hangover.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, that was a more tangent. This is probably one of my favorite questions that I wrote. Do you ever smell a hangover person at the gym and cringe?
Okay. Not at the gym, but I teach, obviously. I used to teach Saturday at 8 a.m. There wasn't a lot of people that came to that class that had been drinking the night before, but if someone had, I think that it was kind of easier to tell. One time, you were there. I taught a ride at 5. Who let me do this? Who said this was okay? Who was running the studio at that time?
I loved 5:45.
5:45
That was my favorite class.
On New Year's Day.
Oh, yeah.
You were there.
Yeah.
5:45 a.m. on New Year's Day. There was 3 people in that class besides you.
Yeah.
One of them listens to this podcast, and I am not going to shame them, but all 3 of them were hungover and or still drunk, and it was extremely obvious to me.
Yeah.
I didn't get mad. Of course, I'm like, it's 5:45 on New Year's Day. Like, they're young. They were younger than us. So I'm just gonna put that out there. No shaming for these people. But yeah, I was like, I could obviously tell and smell.
Yeah.
Since I stopped drinking, well, I'm always a smeller. I can smell. And there was always a house that we used to party at called the Thaxton House. And so that's what a hangover smell was to me. I would always say, you smell like the Thaxton House. And yeah, I do still smell that sometimes, and it makes me want to slam my hand into the wall. But I always, like, if I smell a hangover, I'm like, God, thank God that's not me. Like, I know what that feels like. When you think you smell like a hangover, remember what that feels like? You're like, but you like don't care because you're so hungover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, gross. I can smell it right now.
The Paxton House.
So that's all of my questions.
Okay, good. Well, and I think the biggest reason why people want to work out is because there's benefits.
Yes.
There's so many benefits. Even if somebody starts to work out because they want to lose weight, I feel like it's the same thing as sobriety. Like, I need to stop drinking because of whatever reason. It then spirals into so many other things, which you and I have talked about. And I think fitness-wise, that's what happens too. Like, people come to fitness saying, I want to lose weight. I mean, let's just call it what it is. That's the most common reason. And when people say, I want to lose weight, that's what gets them in the door, but what keeps them is the other benefits that they see, you know, like totally. Not just losing weight, because that's not something that happens right away.
No.
It takes time. So some of the benefits that we found: regular physical activity in children and adolescents is associated with improved physical fitness, cardiometabolic health, bone health, cognitive outcomes, mental health, and reduced body fat. In adults and older adults, it is associated with reduced risk of all-cause mortality. So I'm just dying of natural causes, I guess, or all causes. Risk of cardiovascular disease mortality.
Wow.
Incident hypertension, diabetes, incident site-specific cancers. Oh, that's type 2 diabetes. Falls and improved mental health, cognitive health, sleep, and measures of body fat. I never really thought about falls, you know, because it's so common for older people to have to deal with that, and being physically fit is something that counters that. That's so important.
Yes.
Inactive adults lose about 3 to 8% of their muscle per decade.
Wow.
But 10 weeks of strength training can lead to a 3-pound increase in muscle mass. It can lead to a 7% increase in metabolic rate, and a 3.9-pound reduction in body fat.
Wow.
One thing that I always preach, if you can't do anything, is to walk.
Yeah.
Because getting outside is huge for your mental. And walking, whether you're walking with music or you're just listening to nature around you, it changes like the chemistry inside of you as you're doing it. So it's not only physically beneficial, but it's mental beneficial. And this right here says that walking for about an hour or running for 15 minutes is linked to a significant reduced risk of depression. 5 minutes of physical activity can boost your mood per the APA. Someone who exercises regularly experiences 43.2% fewer days of poor mental health.
Wow.
And then on average, people who don't work out experience a little more than 3 days of poor mental health per month, including symptoms of stress, depression, and or emotional concerns. Team sports are associated with a 22.3% reduction in poor mental health. Cycling is associated with a 21.6% reduction. Gym activities, 21.1% reduction. So cycling. It was actually labeled on here. Come to my class. As little as 10 minutes of exercise a day is linked to higher levels of happiness. 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally 10-minute walk, a 10-minute run, 10-minute yoga thing. Thank God that we live in the day and age, because you can literally YouTube after you watch this episode.
Yeah.
Yoga or something. Like, yeah, there's 1,000 places that you can pay for stuff, but there's also stuff where you can get for free.
Yes.
Yes. 43% of adults use exercise to manage stress.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think that
it's the biggest thing. The percentage of exercisers who say they feel less stress varies by generation. Teens 32%, millennials 36% for the highest. Gen Xers 31, boomers 28, matures. Never heard that word. 16.
Matures. I think you mean mature. That's what my grandpa says.
And so I don't know. I guess just to finish it out, there's just a couple of key things when you're on your fitness journey that I have found work for me, work for my clients. And first and foremost, it's finding what works for your body.
Yeah.
If you don't like cycling, don't come to cycling class. If you don't like the slow movement of yoga because your brain is going crazy, don't go to yoga. You know, I think that in order to figure out what works for your body, though, you are going to have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You're going to have to, you know, I'm not going to say get over a fear, but like do what you fear anyways. You're going to have to walk into that room. And once you walk into that room, whether it's the door to the gym, the door to your yoga class, or Bike Beats on Mondays at 5:45 where I teach, you will look around and there are other people in the exact same position as you that are just as scared, just as worried as you are. And honestly, at the end of the day, physical fitness is something that benefits us specifically and only us. Like, yeah, our family gets us around because we're healthy, or like our kids get to see healthy parents, but this is about us.
Yes.
So we're not going to walk into a room of something that could change our life, could change our body, and let the perceived comparison or judgments of everyone around us keep us out of that room. Like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
It's our health is depending on it. And I promise you, you will find a friendly face in that room. I promise you.
No, one of my favorite things, because I was trying to force myself to do yoga for a little while, and I just hate hot classes is what they are just not for me. And I think people, when they see like a skinny person, they're like, oh great, here comes a yogi, you know, they're gonna be so
like
great.
Making judgments.
Yeah, like I don't want to be next to them, and literally I am the worst, and I would just lay there. And I think that it would, and that's all in my own head, but I think that when other people see a person that looks fit like struggling, it makes them realize like, okay, like this isn't, anybody can do this, you know, it's not just for the tall skinny people, you know. I don't know if I'm coming across saying that, but I think that it does, like, because people, when they see me coming to a class, they think that I'm just going to be good at it, and I'm like, no, I'm just genetically tall and skinny. I need to build muscle. I need to condition. I don't have good lungs, you know. But the first like vision, at least for me too, when I see a fit person in the class, I'm like, oh god,
they're gonna be great.
Like, oh, I'm next to this person. Well, oh my gosh,
that's what's funny about cardio too, and like my spin classes in particular, is I've had people who are literally rock stars in the gym, like can lift more than I could ever lift in a million years, are like the muscliest muscle men and women of the world, and then they come into spin and it's a different story for them.
It's very humbling.
You know, and so I think too, a lot of the time in boutique studios, maybe not as much so in gym settings, is that people need permission to be human.
Yeah.
And it's so messed up because it's like you bleeding is not enough permission, like you breathing, you being a human isn't enough permission to be human. But to your point, when someone lays down in class, in a hot yoga class, every person in there now has permission to lay down. All the people that were too scared to do it before, who were struggling before. And that's what I mean by like trusting yourself and putting yourself out there enough to at least do it, because you will come to my spin class and you will see that not everybody stands up when I ask them to stand up. You will see people get off the bikes early. You will see people not do what I ask them to do. And I make sure to make a point at the beginning of class to say, you don't have to do what I'm telling you to do. You are here to move your body. I know that to be true, and that's all you have to do in this room. And I think me starting my classes like that gives kind of that permission to be human.
Yeah.
But not all instructors give that permission right off the bat. So knowing that you can walk into a room and have that permission on your own. And if you are ever at a studio, a class, a trainer with someone who is going to tell you to get up, to stop resting, to basically bully you into being physically fit when you are taking a break or when you are doing what is best for your body, that is not the studio for you. You should not be at that studio. Yeah. I am very, very firm, and maybe that's just because I'm a different type of instructor. I know there are instructors out there that motivate by being hard and tough. But I think in this day and age, when we have so many people really putting themselves out there to be met with hostility is going to send them back wherever they came from.
Yeah.
And so if you feel like you're in a place of hostility within an instructor or a studio, like there's probably one down the street that won't do that for you.
Yeah, there's a million different places you can go to.
I mean, like, thank God fitness studios are everywhere. So don't do that. And when you're trying to figure out what works for your body, you also need to figure out what you respond to best. Like, do you like listening to music? Does the music need to be loud for you to check out? If the music is loud, does that like turn you off? For me, dark rooms, loud music, I could literally do anything for as long of a time as the instructor was asking me to, just because that's my heart. Do you like being outdoor way more? Are you more motivated doing things outdoor than you are indoor? And also movement type. Like, is cardio your thing? Do you like slow movements? Like bar is very slow, static, but it will change you. Pilates is like the craziest thing you'll ever do, trying to figure out what movement works for your body, what movement brings release to you. And then once you're in there, and we've all had bad classes, we've had bad days, we've had times where we haven't felt as fit in a class that we've done so many times, but you have to focus on the positive of each class, even if the positive is I showed up today.
Yeah.
I stood up in a time where I wouldn't normally, or I wanted to give up and I kept going and I could, like focusing on the positives is going to keep you fueled and keep you hungry for more. And then I think my last key to finding out what works for you is returning to what you wished you could do and or what you did best as a kid.
Ooh, yeah.
We grow up and we think that like we can't play basketball or go swim on a swim team or dance anymore. And if that was something that fueled you and you didn't like end really badly, and now it's traumatic because I have one of those also, but like go back to it. Like there's nothing that's stopping you. Like we said earlier, I had an 80-something-year-old woman who was strength training and cycling. Like, you are not too late. You're not too old to learn something new. I started strength training at 35, 34. Like, you are not too old. If there was something in your mind that you're like, God, I always wished I could do that.
Just do it,
you know? Consistency, showing up for yourself, being positive every single time you work out. Those are all really key and important factors, but nothing is going to get you to where you want to go unless you believe you're in yourself and you take those risks even when you're not unsure. I had wanted to be a spin instructor since the day I started going to spin. I imagined myself on that podium, and it took so many years to get there, and I leapt with blind faith. And I was 2 kids in and overweight and didn't think that I could do it, and I just did it anyways. And I showed up anyways, and now here I am, like the healthiest I've ever been, the happiest I've ever been with my body, the strongest I've ever felt. I had a procedure a few months back, and they had to put me under. And when they were monitoring my heart and stuff, the nurse was like, "You're fit, aren't you? You must do something." And it was literally based on the health of my heart. The nurse knew that I was physically fit, and that is something that when I sleep at night and I worry about absolutely everything else in the world, that's not something I have to worry about, like my heart. Yeah. It's said on here, cardiovascular mortality or whatever it said, like that's something I don't have to worry about for my children and for myself, is like I'm healthy. I have a healthy beating heart. And there's just so much, I don't know, so much pride in that, and so much comfort in getting myself to that point. Yeah. Because when you're physically fit, you can say like, I had a great instructor who had a great playlist, but I didn't make you do that. Yeah. You made yourself do that. Yeah. And it's something to be proud about. Yeah. So go out and do it. There's no better month. Yeah. The classes are packed and full. Yeah. Everybody's out there trying things, guys. Yeah. Everybody's out there wanting to work out. Find something like a class pass, or, most drop-in rates are $5. At my gym, you can get a guest pass for a week for free. Reach out, find what works for you guys, because I cannot recommend it enough. And we love you, babes.
Talk soon.